Welcome to Hot Speaker Series. I'm joined here today with Dr. Zayas and Dr. Bloom, and with my co-host.
Christina.
Steven Quinones.
Fiorella Rodriguez.
Jose Zuniga.
Anthony Garcia.
Angel Morgano.
So, Dr. Zayas and Dr. Bloom, if we can just have you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you guys got into the profession.
Sure. Well, first of all, I want to thank you guys for having me here. And the way I got into dentistry was my great uncle, my grandfather's brother, was a dentist. And when he got here to the United States and he got his license, I loved dentistry. I used to love to work with my hands, and I used to build a lot of models when I was younger. And this was the beautiful marriage between science and art and building something. And from then on, it's just I knew what I wanted to do since I was like 14 or 15.
All right. And
Thank you for having us again. My name is Dr. Bloom. I got into dentistry actually being introduced to one prosthodontist in Chicago. That's where I've been living before moving here for 15 years. And before knowing him, I thought about dentistry. It's like feeling something painful, something not really that enjoyable. And he invited me to his office to see how it is. He's a prosthodontist, so he was working with a lot of prostheses. He introduced me to a lot of patients who were actually going through huge reconstruction, and they were doing, besides the teeth, they were actually replacing the eyeballs. So somebody who is like having half of the face missing, so it was not only teeth, but I actually saw how the dentistry can be connected to other fields in medicine, and it was really, really eye-opening for me. And I was like, wow, I should join the field.
all right. Now, another question: what is the difference between a hygienist, a dentist, and an orthodontist?
Okay, great question. A hygienist is more responsible for the actual maintenance, the cleanings, okay, of the teeth. The dentist is actually the person that oversees everything. He's the one that maybe will do like a root canal, an extraction, a filling, an implant. And the orthodontist is the person that actually does the braces. They straighten the teeth.
So day to day, like, is there always emergency cases? Let's call it, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, there's a few emergency cases during the day. Anybody can trip and fall and have an accident.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And then obviously pain is a huge motivator. When somebody, it's like hunger, right? When somebody's hungry, you want to eat. When somebody's pain, you want to get rid of the pain. So a lot of patients, it's been hurting for, I don't know, 2 weeks. So you decide to go today you just can't take the pain anymore. So.
Yeah, and also cosmetics playing a huge role because, as Dr. Zayas mentioned before, it's pretty much like when you talk to someone, when you introduce, they look at your face, at your smile. It's important because how you take care of your teeth, how you take care of your smile, that's talking a lot about your health and how you're treating yourself.
All right. So in America, we all have, well, we're supposed to have health insurance, right? And that covers our doctor needs, but it doesn't cover dentistry because of, like you said, it's more cosmetic. A lot of dentistry is cosmetic and not necessary, and insurance companies obviously would not like to pay for something that is not necessary. But so how would you tell people to, like, when they go to the dentist and they see like, oh, braces are $6,000 right now or whatever the price is, how would you go and have them justify like the benefits of aligning their teeth and something that is cosmetic?
That's a great question, by the way. Well, number one is, especially at your age, right? Like, this is for life, right? So once you fix it one time, and let's just throw out a number of $4,000, right? So you pay that today, and what are the benefits? Well, the benefits are for the rest of your life, you're going to have straight teeth or good-looking teeth, or the teeth are going to be in alignment. And like we said before, this is, even though people aren't really telling you, but everybody's looking at your face. Your face is us, right? When you look at somebody, you look at their face. First of all, guess what? This is 1/3 of your face. You know, this is second, third, this is a third. So a lot of technical aspects associated with it. But aligning the teeth, that's an excellent question. Orthodontist, and then for whatever reason, most people nowadays, you know, they get their teeth, you know, aligned. Especially in this country, by the way, guys. We're very lucky. We're all very lucky. We live in the United States of America. For a number of reasons, but our health usually in our country is way above other places in the world. So you know, we're very lucky we live in a place like
And
that.
another thing, like I know many patients who are coming to us, they think aligning the teeth is basically just cosmetic. But if you see how much improvement you can get from aligning your teeth, it's easier to clean, to brush your teeth, to floss. It's easier to keep your gums healthy. And when your teeth are not aligned, sometimes the tooth can be pushed out of the bone. The bone is becoming weaker as we age. So when you think about it, some patients who are 60, 70 years old, 80 years old, those teeth becoming very loose. And they're unfortunately losing those teeth. They're pushed out because the bone cannot hold it in. So it's not only about the look, but there's a lot of functional benefits. When the teeth are not aligned, the way how you bite, the stress comes to the teeth, like some teeth that are not properly aligned, they're hitting too much on the, like, for example, front teeth, and you don't want to fracture your front teeth. You want all the stress to go into your back teeth, the ones that are bigger teeth, and they're like made to withhold all this force.
So
Yes.
glad that you mentioned about like the older generation. So technology has changed our lives positively. I'm sure in your industry as well, like just in every industry nowadays. So, I mean, if we go back 60, 70, 80 years old, now we're living into our 90s. Back in those, like back when they were teenagers, they didn't have the technologies that we have now or the advancements in hygiene or anything.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you look at a toothbrush from back then, it was like
And
it's like a
mentality
piece of
was
corn
very
cob
different.
on a stick.
Well, the train of thought back then was if it hurts, you're gonna like at our age already, at your age, you would have been missing a bunch of teeth. Because if it hurt, just pull it. A cavity, just pull it. Because in the end, everybody had dentures. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe your grandparent, your great grandparent. You know, like nowadays, everybody wants to save their teeth because it's what you know at the highest levels of any politics. Movie stars. Have you ever seen a movie star with bad teeth or a
Yes.
singer?
Yes.
You know, most
Morgan
singers.
Freeman.
Well, maybe Morgan, but 99.9% of the people, trust me, they take care of their teeth. Any singer, any big singer, any big entertainer,
Eddie Murphy.
well, they
No, not Eddie Murphy.
yeah, most people take really good care, especially at those levels, and in
Yeah.
politics and you know whatever, you have to have it because it says a lot about a person, right? Like, so you want to be this. This is why this profession is so noble, because you're really doing something highly beneficial to the patient, whether it's aesthetic or like the doctor said, functional.
Well,
you know,
I mean, back then, dentistry in terms of medicine is pretty new. I mean, you have
correct.
You have
Yeah, I
Dr.
understand.
Gray
Yeah.
that wrote Gray's Anatomy like 100, 200 years ago. That's a tremendous anatomy book. But like, there's no books about dentistry that are that old. Like, I think you're going back 100 years at most.
right? It's very smart
Because
very-
back then, you would go to the barber.
exactly.
You
Yeah,
would go to the
yeah,
barber.
yeah.
He would give you a haircut, and then you're like, "Oh, my tooth hurts." He goes, "I got some pliers in the back."
Yeah. It's come a long ways, and
Yeah.
and then the technology is really what's taking it to the next level, like the doctor was saying. And I don't know if we can show something. Like, can we show this for a second? Like, yeah, go ahead. This is like so this is. Has anybody gone to the dentist and then they've taken impressions?
Yeah.
Impressions on you guys. So we don't do this anymore. No, you want to
Really?
put it.
Because when you get the Invisalign, they take the mold.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
there's no more molds. It's all scanning now.
I
It's
did
all
mine
much.
I did mine a year ago and I had a mold.
Yeah. Well, because your dentist didn't have this.
Really?
Yeah.
I need to change dentist.
Yes. Yes.
You have a card?
Yeah, we do.
All right.
But this is so this is one of the tools, for example, and then this tool, this tool makes us like you scan, and maybe if I come next time, I might bring one of these, here, and then we can scan. But so this is like the new, like the new stuff nowadays. Okay.
But also, if you think about this, like who wants to send a snail mail right now? Like when you need something urgent, like for example, document that needs to be signed. Same idea here. Like when we scan you, we can send it right back to the lab, and they're gonna get it in like
Oh,
a
yeah.
couple seconds,
So
rather than like packing the materials, sending it, and then guess what? In Florida, all the sun exposure, heat, the material is getting disturbed.
That is a different video.
So yeah, like what she was saying. So when was raise your hand? When was the last time anybody sent a letter, like an actual?
Yeah, I mean,
No, but when you need something urgent,
No,
like for
you
example,
send an
sign
email.
a document,
like
you're
send an
gonna-
email.
Like
DocuSign.
I haven't sent a letter in years. Everything is emails or internet or right. So now so this is like what's happened here is this is like email versus a regular mail. Nowadays, right? Like and the big thing is now on. You want to show them what a CT is? The big thing is now computerized imaging. So now you just don't take an X-ray of a tooth. You take an X-ray of the tooth in 3D. Okay, and why? Because when we look at a picture, when you look at a picture is we're 3-dimensional, right? But when you take a picture, we're flat, right? Like when you have a map of the world on the wall, you know the world is round, but the map might be flat, right?
Yeah.
Like so, the same thing when everybody sees X-rays nowadays. Guess what? It's flat because it's a picture, but in reality, it's 3D, and this is what's taken us to the next level. So this is now everything's in 3D, okay? And I'll show you now the technology.
I know that works with like some form of radiation and whatnot. Just like when you go take an X-ray, they put the lead on you.
Yeah, it's very little. It's very little radiation. As a matter of fact, like everything in life, the more things change, the better they get. This, since it's intensifying screens, Since it's intensifying screen, it's a lot less radiation. Like you might get more radiation from going to the beach on a Sunday, and just the radiation from the sun, right?
Or going on the plane.
Or going on the plane, yeah, on a plane. Sometimes, Wow. So this is like these companies are leading these are very rich programs, and as a matter of fact, for you guys it'll be easier. For me, it's taken a long time because I grew up in the analog age, like maybe some of your parents or your grandparents, and now it's been very hard. But you need to be very computer savvy, and then because we're living in this type of age. So this very simple to use and very little radiation. That was a great question. Okay. And then what this does, once it processes it, takes the X-ray, it'll put everything in 3D. So when I'm looking at the patients now, it's like if I'm looking at a glass in 3D. Like your head, transparent, right? Yeah. Very very high end technology. And before this used to have to be done in a hospital, and now this is you can put the machine right here, and it's like.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
On the topic of technology evolving and everything becoming easier and safer with the radiation and everything, I wanted to ask: is there like a possibility? I mean, obviously a possibility, but to the point where you wouldn't even have to meet with a dentist, where you could just like get it scanned, and they would be able to do everything online and send you because it would take the X-ray and you would be able to make the Invisalign or whatever you need off of it.
Yeah. If they could, that's an excellent question.
I think.
Okay. Yeah, they have. Yeah, but it's there. I know what you're gonna.
The smile, they're right. They send you a box. You put the mold. And
but that's not. Yeah, that's
it's not the same thing.
Yeah, it's like, can you fix an airplane? It's like if they, hey, go ahead and fix the airplane. You're not. How are you gonna fix your own teeth? It's crazy. Yeah.
There's only like so much you can do with how much like it's not like instructions. Like this is something that you need practice in order to get correctly.
Exactly.
You're right. Human body is never by the book. So if you think about it, there is always deviation. So for example, for same people, we can place a filling close to the nerve, but we don't know how the nerve will react in person who is 18 years old and somebody who is 65 years old. It might be completely different reaction. So supervision of the doctor is always important. Of course, technology is great, but it's even greater when the technology and the doctor are working together.
Yeah, I might think that's a great question because like I remember when calculators first came out, a little digital calculator was a big thing. nowadays nobody even has a digital. Nowadays we have computers and stuff.
Yeah,
So,
phones.
smartphone.
I had it. It happens to us all the time. Like when we have calculator allowed tests, most kids don't even bring a calculator to school because they have a cell phone. They're like,
Yeah,
why?
Yeah, so it's foreseeable that in the future, maybe you have some sort of device that you can take a picture in your home and send it to us. I wish it would be easier for us, but that's maybe not in the near.
Yeah, no, I mean we're not there yet, but like we're going into this like new like industrial revolution.
Correct. Well,
quote,
AI,
well, yeah,
and
with
you guys
AI,
are on the right,
yeah, when it comes with
which
AI.
which I know very little about because again, you guys have the edge on me on that one because you guys are young and you've been in computers since you were born. But yeah, the AI,
It's just starting up.
it's
too,
just
and-
starting out. But I'll tell you what, it's gaining so much
Yeah.
speed that if I were you guys, I'm already doing it. But if I were you guys, I would highly start looking at that and maybe you guys in the future for you, and since you're on board of it now, there could be a big financial reward, with AI because it's.
I wanted to build on the topic of the AI because
Sure.
From what I understand, because it's not like I studied the AI, like everything that's going on, but from what I learned from it, it has the ability to learn based on experiences. And so I was thinking, do you have any fear that there would be at some point where it could create its own program where it could, like she said, where it could react different to different patients, like whatever you do to it, where they would be able to learn and react differently to different patients and corresponding to whatever is needed.
You mean if AI would take over the like?
Yeah.
Thank God.
Everyone.
And that's a great. I love that question because I thought about that, and again, I thank the Lord that I chose this profession because this is one of the few professions that I don't think AI can actually be in there, and we have to make a decision. She makes a decision every day. I make my decisions, and we have to make it like this morning.
There's so many decisions on spot that you have to
That I don't care how smart the
change.
AI is, it can't make the decision based on and by the way, let's say it does make the right decision, it can't do. I don't think it can actually,
But there's already like a lot of robots in medicine and in dentistry.
So-
In fact, we have robots in dentistry placing the implants.
Yeah.
But do you want the robot to
Who do you want,
place
the robot or
implant?
that?
no,
Yeah, or
no,
do you
no,
want
no,
me? That's
But like,
30.
right now we're not.
Nah.
Right now we're like when it comes to AI, we're just in the generative part of it, where it comes to text and like
It's very
visuals
smart,
and stuff
yeah.
like that, and
Yeah.
it starts generating. But and we're just starting. It's the beginning. What about, let's say, 5 decades from now, 6
Oh,
decades from now, when there's devices that can do stuff based on the AI's instructions?
100%.
Now we have like there's surgeons now that they've never cut open a body, right? They're surgeons by trade, but all they do is control a robot. Have you seen those robotic?
with the grape.
Yeah, with the grape that they could peel the skin off of a grape.
Yeah,
like,
that's amazing.
Well,
That's
because the precision,
the
how
precision,
it's
yeah.
like in millimeters.
do you
like
think
it's-
something like that would come into dentistry? Because that would be cool. I mean,
It's already there.
like,
yeah,
you
it's
could-
already
you
there.
sit down
yeah,
at
there's
the
robots.
table.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'll show you right
It's
now.
already there. There are robots placing the implants, but again,
Yeah.
doctor needs to be on
No,
site
yeah,
because
obviously.
we still supervise. The robot is actually a good addition to this program, the 3D scanner, because when we can scan the bone from different perspective, and then robot is supervised by doctor, and we can do the calculations and do like at exact spot that we plan. Because the implant placement is like taking seconds, but the planning, that's what's important.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I don't think you want a robot to plan
Yeah.
it yet
Yeah.
without
Yeah, no,
a
definitely,
doctor
definitely.
because.
but it's kind of what you guys said. How in
Right.
the last 50 years there's been so many advancements in dentistry and like every other field, obviously. when
But
it comes
it's
to
very
technology.
possible that
Yeah.
in 50 years.
Like 50 years
we're
ago,
gonna
we
be
wouldn't-
at
we wouldn't
the beach
imagine what we have
doing
now.
teledentistry
Like, nowhere
somewhere,
near.
working
Nowhere
from
near. Before
home.
the phones
I was
existed,
around
right?
50 years ago, and
Yeah.
there was nowhere near today, right?
I think
Right.
I'm hoping for it. Working from home.
And I know,
robot is doing
and
it
I know
for
you
me.
all think this because how about like the AI in Terminator, right? Like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
turn over and they take. Yeah,
I mean-
I saw some robots. I think MIT they were developing. The big thing is now for the army, right? So these are these they look like dogs, they're on four. Like,
yeah.
You have
you
one
saw
at FIU.
exactly that.
Yeah.
FIU is
I
big.
saw them in
That's
the
amazing.
Science Museum in Boston.
That's amazing. Very good. This stuff is, and then these are the new soldiers for the future. The future's not. We're not gonna.
Yeah.
Men aren't gonna. It's these things, and these things are like in a movie. Like
You got like
just
10 pounds of bomb. Like I was talking about.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many cases where science fiction has become like science.
Reality.
Like
Yeah.
watches.
Yeah,
Um,
100%. Yeah.
Even going to the moon, there used to be like books written about going to the moon, and no one was like, no, that's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
And it ended up happening.
Well-
I do think that, like, I agree with you guys. I think there can be a point where that can be developed. I think there's some jobs that like just aren't replaceable. Like, you
But
can't
people that
replace a
develop the
doctor
AIs.
or a dentist or like even a teacher. There's devices that have like helped them teach, but I feel like the connection with the teacher and the student is just something different that technology
The
can't
human,
replace.
there's something, the human touch, the human
Yeah,
interaction, right?
exactly.
That's the
It's
beautiful
different.
part about meeting somebody or like exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, I just feel like there's something that just can't be replaced.
And
No.
that also goes into what you said earlier, where part of the reason you like the profession so much is that you're the one that is helping this person go through this
Exactly.
journey where they fix and they improve
Awesome.
their appearance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I get you.
I
Their
feel like
appearance
it's-
and their health, right?
I feel like it'd be very
Yeah.
hard to replace like the human interaction part of it, like to like completely replace humans in terms of like replication and just personality and each individual person, the way they act.
100%.
It's very hard. Like that's not.
And yeah, because you're a universe, she's a universe, she's a universe, he's a universe. So we're all different. And the beautiful part is that the difference is, right, when we're having this conversation right now, and I'm seeing what I'm picking your brain, you're picking my brain, she's saying her brain. So the robot really, I don't think they can do that. And all this stuff does help, all these robotic things and all this stuff happening nowadays. And by the way, the U.S., we're not the only ones doing this. We got Asia, we got Europe. I do a lot of my training in Europe. And some things are more advanced than us. We're more advanced in theory. They're more advanced in some hardware. So it's a world thing. Okay. Again, we're very lucky we live here, right? Because you have this beautiful school, you have great teachers, this beautiful lab there. You have all the technology you need here, and other places it's not like that. But I don't want you to think that we're the only ones that are. The U.S. is the only ones in front. That's why I want everybody in this country to be as proficient as possible in this, because other countries are doing it also. Okay, we're not the only.
There's competition.
Big time. And by the way, I think we're getting a little left behind. Okay, so we got you, and you guys are the future. So I'm so glad I'm talking to you and meeting you guys here, because you guys are the next generation that's hopefully taking us to the next level.
And one thing you guys do have that's kind of irreplaceable from technology is like the experience. Like you said, you went to Europe to train. Like education is like such a huge thing, and you build upon like all the history, every book, like
Very smart.
like that's one thing that I think, although like technology is great, I think it depends on humans. It depends on humans regardless. You know?
We built that technology.
You built it, so it depends on you.
So,
and
yeah.
like the education, the background that you guys have, I think is like can't really compete with that.
And another thing, like remember that a lot of patients are anxious. They are scared of being in a dental office. So they're going to be more scared if they're walking into the room and there is no human factor.
I mean,
and you are just
nobody
closing the door
likes-
and saying, good luck.
I'm not the only person. I'm not the only person that's gonna say this, but like when you go to the dentist's office and you see that drill, like you don't even have to see it, you just gotta hear it. It's that winding noise, and
The
I
turbine,
understand why,
yeah.
because it's air powered. It's not even electric or anything. It's just that winding noise. It's just like you know that it's gonna hurt. You know it's gonna suck.
And now imagine
but-
you're shaking
but
in the
it
chair and
doesn't-
the
no,
robot
but-
is there and
But-
he's
but-
like on.
So before going to the and like we're so lucky you live in this age now, because like 100 years ago, like you said,
Yeah.
it was horrific. And by the way, a lot of people died from something that we take. Oh, this is another thing. A lot of people died from something we take for granted, like a little toothache or a little infection in the tooth. Nowadays, we give you penicillin, we give you different drugs to help medication to help the case. But in those days, that didn't exist. So guess what? People died. Like imagine it was the old West, and we're going to Oregon, and it's the summer. It's 100 degrees. We're crossing in a covered wagon, and you have a huge infection.
And you go
Guess
to the
what?
barber, you ain't got your
No, there was no barber. There's nothing there. There's the bar, and guess what? Even if they extracted the tooth, you could still die.
there.
There you
The
go.
infection's
It's inside
still
your body. So
But I read the story, and it was about a cowboy in the old West, and you know how they would bring the cow, and he got an infected tooth, and and there's no drugs or anything to mitigate the pain. So he goes to his barber. And he goes, I could fix this for you. Here's a bottle of whiskey.
Yes.
And just once you can't feel a lot,
Yeah,
Top on my shoulder.
So and then even before that,
Still works.
it's still weird, right? Is that what you should do? Nah.
even before that, it was like they would hit the
Unreliable.
person on the head, like,
Oh.
and sometimes that was worse than the
You
actual.
get a concussion.
Yeah, you can get so you pass out a little bit, they would hit you behind the head, and then when you were gone, your teeth were gone, and but sometimes the actual hit on the head was worse. It created like a hemorrhage in the brain or something. Yeah, something bad,
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Wow, I'm so glad we live in 2023. Now you go to the dentist and for anything.
I feel like a lot of people are gonna say the
local
same
anesthetic.
thing in 100 years though, because it's like a cycle. It's a cycle.
No, but like
Right now, the
Sure.
diseases we worry about, they're probably not gonna worry about in the future, and they're gonna have other
But
diseases that we
there's
don't
always
even
gonna
know
be
about
because
yet.
you can never defeat nature, and like that's one thing that nature's a thing that science can never overcome nature. So there's always gonna be something. Like a couple years ago we had COVID, and now in 100 years there's gonna be something else.
And remember, no matter what machine is out there, no matter your body, this machine is the greatest machine ever invented by anybody on the planet. This comes
The
from other
organism,
realms, right?
Yeah.
Like your body, and your body, you can break. If this TV falls and breaks the glass, what happens? It stays broken. Guess what? If you fall and break your foot will repair itself. But unless you lose your foot, then it can't
Yeah.
grow. But you can
We're
break
getting
your
there,
arm,
we're getting
and
there.
doesn't your arm fix? When you have a cut, doesn't your arm heal? I had a little cut,
The
it's
white
already
blood
healed, right? So your body is a machine that heals itself. Think about that one. There's no computer that fixes itself. You got to fix it. I mean, it can wipe the memory, whatever, but it has to be you. So this machine is perfect that you guys have. Okay, it was built by other realms. So we have the most perfect machine here. So I don't think any computer or any AI or anything like this in the future. I'm not scared of it overtaking our job because I don't think it can do the work, at least in this particular profession. Like flying a plane, I saw something very interesting on flying a plane. Now drones in the war, they have now a lot of planes that aren't not going to have pilots. In case they lose the plane, they don't lose the human life, because your life is worth more than, I don't care how much a plane is worth, right? It can be worth billions. So the drones, computers will be, AI is really big in like planes and stuff like that. I think, if your job is a pilot, but this particular job, I think it's very safe. Like if anybody's thinking like maybe computers take over it, this particular job, I think it will be very.
And I mean, even then with computers, it would have still opened jobs for, let's say the people who need to code the computers, people who need to fix the computers.
100%. Yeah.
So either way, it's going to
People
improve
that-
as time goes on.
Go back to Terminator, people to kill the computers. Always go back. No, but it's a double. I mean, it's scary. It gets if you watch Terminator enough times,
I love it.
you're gonna see one coming in a Harley Davidson road bed.
Okay.
I read this book one day. It was about the time thing where some dude is able to like hop in a car. I forget what the book's name is, but he gets in the car and he takes a ride, and then all of a sudden he's like in his dream like time period. He's like, oh, I wish I was born here. He meets someone, and that person also wanted to do the same thing. They go back in time again, and then there's another person that wants to go back in time and live in another era. And there's just like all these things, and then they go back in time and they just see that everyone's dissatisfied with where they're at. And it's like
No
it's
one's
very
ever
like
happy.
yeah, no, it's very philosophical, and I like it because it's like the same thing. Like 100 years from now, people are gonna they're gonna look at our time and be like, oh, I wish I was there. But at the same time, they're gonna look at our advancements and be like, oh, no, like I like now because now is better. Like there's less diseases.
It's like, what did people do like before computers, or
Yeah.
what did people do before movies, or what,
There's
cell
always
phones,
new developments. People adapt.
I mean,
beepers, before beepers.
I mean, I think the only reason we know about a beeper is because of Stranger Things. Because like I mean, like no one at this school, no one has seen a beeper. It wasn't around. It wasn't a
He
thing.
goes,
No, like a small
I saw a
change.
hand raised up back
A small
there.
change in the past year, like in the past 10 years, like on phones. Like I remember as a kid trying to download something, it would take the 20
Oh, you
minutes,
seen
and
Yeah.
now it's like you download it instant.
Or you couldn't download it if you're not on Wi-Fi.
So the new kid, like
That was
the
the
little-
iPhone 4. That wasn't even that long ago. That was like 6 years ago, bro.
the iPhone 4. No,
Not even. It was like
10 years ago. Bro.
Yeah.
We're on the
Yeah,
14. We're
So
on the
like a
14
little
right
baby
now.
nowadays, they don't know that oh man, you used to have to wait 3 minutes for this. This is like 1 second, less than a second.
No, and then I hear my sister's story. She's like, "Oh, I had to wait like an hour to get Wi-Fi," and I was like, I had to wait an hour to even get it, like to be able to use a computer.
And-
I was like,
How about in high school? We didn't even have internet, and it wasn't even that long ago.
You guys have what?
We have beepers. We have beepers.
I
Yeah, I
wanted
mean-
to ask about because you said that you got most of your experience from Europe, right?
No. I went to school here. And by the way, guys, studying knowledge never ends. We end, knowledge keeps on. So I'm in love with studying. I still study a lot, and so does she. And I think that's where we are in our profession. I want to say we're a little bit higher than the other guy, but because we study a lot, and when you're in love with studying, the process of studying, it never ends. And life is great because you're always learning something new, right? So it doesn't end, and I don't want it to end because studying is fun. You learn new things, and learning knowledge is power, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think humans are like biologically like programmed, like wired to like try to go for the next goal. They grab that goal.
That's
the next
very
goal.
smart. Yeah. And then I just heard something. I was reading something that, and then I always put goals, but I heard it's good not to be goalless because when you're goalless,
You don't have motivation. You get depressed. You like get into your like, and you don't
The
do anything.
comfort zone.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
everyone
There has to be a
says-
balance too, though, because then
Right,
you
you
just
can't
get
do it.
disappointed from having too much goals and not being able to meet them, like
right.
your own
True.
expectations.
There's but you always want to be going forward.
Yeah,
pushing,
something. Do something.
Yeah, you
always
can-
want to. Yeah.
The way humans, our body, the way whoever designed this body, whatever your belief is in the body, this body's meant, the way our hips are connected to our body, we were meant to walk long distances. Okay, humans are, we're walking creatures. Humans are nomads.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have the most stamina. No, was it? We had like
No.
A lot of stamina.
which is-
We might not have, I mean, other animals walk for thousands of miles, but humans,
Yeah.
back in the day,
I'm just saying, like back before, like
and I
when we
think
lived.
that's lowered a lot. Like if you look at
No, most definitely.
oh yeah, because life is, yeah.
I'm talking about like caveman times. Like back then, like
Oh.
they used to walk
Yeah.
miles a day, and they used to not get
like
tired.
we had the most
now
stamina.
if we
then.
walk
We
more
were
than
grandpa
10
had the
minutes,
most
we're
stamina.
like huffing and
Oh,
puffing.
cheetahs were the fastest. We just like we were able to like
Especially here in Miami.
out travel them.
I know people that, and I'm one of them, that like to go to the corner. They literally get in their car, turn it on,
Yeah, it's
Drive
a
to
very,
the corner.
it's a very Miami thing.
and
You're
then
right.
come back. And like the other day, I was doing it. I was like, I could walk. I think it's faster if I walk, but I still wouldn't do it. I would still stay in the car. It's something that,
We're used to the cars. We're used to the cars.
How did you become a dentist? How did you become a dentist in over the time course you've been?
How long or how?
How
like
Where did you go to
study?
school?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What did you study?
Yeah. Okay, so I went to the first process is you get into that's great school, great question. Obviously high school, and once you finish high school, you go to your college, whatever you want to do, and then after your college, you apply to graduate school, wherever school you want to do, and after that you can do a specialty or you can you can start working. You have to every state now. These professions are very regulated, right? Because you don't want anybody just to be a doctor or a dentist and then be performing things without a license, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, we're lucky we live here because it's very regulated, especially Florida, right? The United States as a whole, and in the 50 states, each state has a regulatory body, right? That regulates, like education and regulates different professions. In Florida, it's called the DPR, Department of Professional Regulators, and basically, it's a very good department because it keeps us all safe. Okay, it keeps us like you don't want to go if she doesn't have a license, you don't want to go see her, or if she's working in her house without a license, which a lot of people do that, and that's a felony. That's a criminal act if you're working on people without a license. So it's a very good law for us, and then once you get all your credentialing, right, all your education, you're able to go to the state. The state gives you an exam. You have to pass, which is called the board. Like lawyers take a type of the bar. In medicine, it's called the board, dentistry or medicine. And then once you pass that, then you're able to get your license in that state, and then you're able to work and as your profession in that particular state.
So if the licensing in states, if you're licensed in Florida, are you licensed in any other state?
Okay, great question. So that's called reciprocity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say like yes and no. Some states yes, some states no. Like I went to Nebraska. Okay, so I took it's called the Midwest Regionals, and then I can work. It's about 10 states I can work in if I want, in Nebraska, and Missouri, North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas. So there's a bunch of states I can work. But for me to work in Florida, I was born and raised in Florida, by the way, and my office is, I live in Miami Springs. I had to take the particular test of Florida, like she went to school in Chicago. Yeah, she went to school in Illinois, in Chicago, and then she took the test. And if she wants to work here, she has to take the test of Florida. Once you pass the bar, the board, then you're able to get your license and to work in that profession.
I wanted to ask, since we were on the topic of education, in this specific business of medicine or dental, if it's different than other medicine, when you're trying to get a job, right? Like, let's say you just passed your board, you got your license, whatever. When you're trying to get a job, do they look more for experience or education-wise?
Great question. In the beginning, it's education-wise, because obviously I know if you're the first year student, you're not maybe have a lot of experience, and then the experience comes as you get along. But in the beginning, it's mainly education, and then as you get along, it's more like experience, like.
Yeah. But you also need to be. It changes every year. So every year, like, you're gonna find offices that look in more education, more experience. Like, everybody's different.
Yeah.
But you need to be comfortable with the office. So you don't go just like because of like finances, or you need to find a good mentor. And it's very, very important at the beginning of your career not to go like for money or something, like you go to help people. And after school, like, you have your basics, but it's so different. Like, you need to learn how the body reacts to anything what you do, how to communicate with the patients, also how to treat people who are anxious. You're given basics at schools, but this is like you basically go. And when you go into this field, you need to have someone behind your back. It's very important, somebody more experienced who will show you the path and guide you through this.
Exactly. It's not only the actual technical part, like all this, using the computer, and then obviously the work, right? You got to know. But let's say you're really proficient at both, right? It's also like the way you talk to, it's the whole thing, the way you talk to a person, the way the person talks back. You got to read the person. You got to read, and then some people are. In this profession, some people are, like you said, are really afraid because it's historically gotten a very bad rap. I'm sure you're watching a movie and they go, "Oh, it's worse than going to the dentist," or something like that, right? They're going, so
it's like pulling teeth.
Yeah, it's like, there you go. It's like pulling teeth. Okay, everybody
do it all the time. When they read them, it's not pulling teeth, guy. It's the most common expression.
Yeah. So it has changed a lot, thank God. And this is nothing like your grandparents' dentistry nowadays. But there's still a little stigma to it. The ladies in the profession have helped a lot, and it's a great endeavor for anybody. It's a great career. It's very respectable. It's prestigious. And then the money comes, guys. But it can't be the main thing. You gotta love it. Like if I loved it, like I loved it, and then the money. But if I did it I know a lot of people that did it for the money. Guess what? They're not in the profession anymore because it is really hard. It's if you don't love it, it's tough. It's like, imagine.
Yeah, you can't just coast by.
Yeah,
exactly. It's also kind of
exactly right. Like to get good grades in the school, you got to study. You can coast by, but to get really good grade, you got to really study, and then it'll come, right?
Yeah, if you don't have the hunger for the knowledge, then it's kind of it gets harder.
Yeah. And my advice to you guys is, I wish I knew what I knew when I was in your age, but my advice to you is take every day and then just like kill it every day. Like put 110% into it, because you never know. And this is a great school, great opportunity. And you got everything you need to go ahead in life. Like I tell my kids, you got everything you need. But you gotta, it doesn't come easy, guys.
Gotta work for it.
Yes, everybody wants an easy right now. I don't know what's going on, but it's not easy. And the easier it is, you don't want it. You want it,
And I guess that was a good one. That's
yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
Yeah.